Everybody, Agion here with another Grey Goo replay of the Community 1v1 tournament. Spawn on the north side as the human player, we have Xcet. Spawn on the southern side as the beta player, we have Cartoon Guy 90. And I'm sorry, Xcet, I couldn't cast a replay. You sort of messaged me when I was asleep, or couldn't live stream it anyways. Either way, it looks like we got a relatively standard build, your initial two extractors, but we do actually have a bit of aggression by the beta player, in fact, or possible aggression, I should say. We do got the early factory. No upgrades, of course, because there's no tech upgrades. I usually like to keep this tab open just to tell me in case if there's anybody building anything. Poking some damage at the refinery, doing its 1 damage, or I think when it's building it does 2 damage. Yeah, it does 2 damage. When it's building, takes double damage. Trent is coming on forward and just scouting out. He realizes he's not there, and based on the timing of the commando, he must assume. Well, I'm assuming that he's probably right here. Let's just take a quick look at the first-person camera and let's see what he's looking at. Queue up a shift click there, perhaps for a larger scout. He is building a third extractor up there, as you can briefly see. And it looks like a Cartoon Guy does see the extractor. He does see the next extractor being built. So he's going to immediately go for air attachment? Well, I can see the Stalker production. And he shoots now when his opponent's coming up. He should see the Scout come in. He should see the second refinery actually being built. But he also sees the air and factory. Looks like that Trident will get cleaned up, not too big of a deal. The early scouts tend to die quite quickly. The third refinery is almost done, so he'd be at a significant economy advantage, while his opponent's second extractor is not even up. He is going to put on the, however, on the +8. He could reposition it once he gets some vision over here on the +10. Most likely he's set down here because he only had that much vision. And he doesn't have any more scouting units. In fact, he is at 0 population because that one scout was his only unit on the field. We are going to see a couple factories up. We may see a couple tank attachment here, I'm guessing, for Gladys productions and revolvers. Quite a common combination of units. We got the second extractor now up. And this air attachment is quite interesting. I wonder what he's going to do with the air attachment right there. He may switch out that factory for an airfield and gets out some Warhawks. Other than that, I don't really see much use that air attachment is going to get there, unless he's getting some sort of air tech upgrade. We're just going to have to wait and find out. You got to afford to extract a small hub and refinery being set up. He's probably going to eye again this 10 catalyst centered area and perhaps remove eventually the catalyst plug for a rich 13 catalysts. Honestly, over here would be much safer, but then again, there are rocks, so he has to remove those in order to actually safely secure that area. Looks like he's going to eye for another harvester here. We do got a Stalker here. He needs to get some defense. One revolver, I'm not exactly sure. One revolver may be able to take it out, 1v1 it. I'm not exactly sure exactly a 1v1 comparison. If he's just focusing down the conduit wire, of course the revolver can actually win out. You see a tank attachment, 2 tank attachments. So we're going to see a Gladys revolver production as I predicted. His 4 refinery is done, so he's on 3 refineries versus the 4, but 2 of these 4s are on +8, so the economy isn't exactly a full 8. Or full. We've got another Stalker walking in for another scout, just poking away at some of the conduit wire. He's trying to remove the destroyable debris to get harvesting down the line. He will clean that Stalker nice and orderly with all of his revolvers, and he should, with that brief scout, he should know there's a. He only got his second refinery a bit late, so he should know that his opponent's economy should be a little bit delayed in compared to his opponent. So But he's more he could go out for attack, what I'm saying, but he can always remove the destroyable debris. You've got a couple of large factories coming out. Perhaps maybe for artillery or for siege production. Stealth and artillery. So we are going to see howitzers. And stealth attachment has been a unique mix, so we may be seeing some dagger support. And we say what variants he could go for stealth dagger upgrade. He can go for what else is in the stealth upgrade tab for humans? I almost can't remember on the top of my head. Mostly he's going to try to hit that conduit wire, constantly harassing his opponent. We do got a Valiant, but the Valiant is getting focused down. He does have 3 armor, but he doesn't actually finish it off. Then again, there's no way for him to repair it unless he has a beta ally with a repair pad. Can you use a friendly repair pad? By the way, these commandos just being streamed in one by one. He will get them killed off. He should know that that's a bit of a harassment force he removed. So perhaps maybe attacking his opponent would be ideal. Perhaps maybe doing a bit of a forced recon over here to spot any buildings. Has he spotted this area? He is not. He's going to go straight for his opponent's base. He does see that force there. A bit of a concave, but with his small forces, you can't really concave in. The Valiant would probably not be ideal for it to stand still. Doesn't have enough health to become the shield it would like to be. And it does have a significant amount of splash damage. So in fact, it not setting up its shield would be actually a good idea. You got a monitor out. The monitor is actually standing relatively still. It does give him vision of the area, so he can't be hit from the high ground. But it looks like he has a caught eye of a forward factory line. There is, in fact, a large factory here. So a bit of production he's going to lose. And plus the economy is always good to take out. The factory does have, in fact, 15 armor, so it does take a significant amount of time to destroy. In fact, yeah, small hub. Go for the small hub. The small hub only has 6 armor, much less health. No, he's going to aim for the refinery. 3 armor, a decent amount of health. We do got some commandos now out. They're not hitting the Valiant, which is actually, probably should try to hit the Valiant. He has such little health left. The small hub will not get destroyed. The Stalker managed to get in, but then the shield just pushed him right out. This factory will get destroyed. It tells you, look how resilient the factory is with 15 armor. It's actually relatively safe to go for a large factory if you're going to start on the front line. But of course, it's expensive itself. So it's not exactly good for you to lose it. You got some more and more Valiants being mixed in with this Revolver Gladys force. He's also going to eye to take out this Catalyst fence since he's close by. Get that nice, rich 13 Catalyst, plus this field's going to definitely be drained off quite quickly, so moving a couple extractors in this area to get the 13 Catalyst would be actually ideal. Plus, even just move like one onto the 13 and a couple on the 10, that would be increased from the 8, enough that would probably equal to another extractor. Oh, the Valiants actually put their grenade launcher or rifle, whatever you want to call that, on its back when it's not being used. And with all those individual forces being cleaned up, he is lacking a bit of army. Though there are howitzers, we are going to see Dagger Stealth, which is another forcing his opponent to build Seekers when he doesn't want to, which is very nice to divert your opponent's economy. Hellstroms do not have move and shoot, so they're just going to be left up to dry. And it looks like this will be the end of the replay. There's a significant amount of force here. Focus on those medium hub would be ideal. Oh, there's our self-attachment, artillery, and tank. We have a Cloudburst to take out these Monitor, but that's really not worth it. And with that factory line now done, his opponent is down to his base, and he's probably just going to let his opponent just kill him off. Personally, if it was me, I would just leave the game now. It's you know it's a going to lose situation. No need to waste yours and your opponent's time. What could have this player done a little bit better? I would say perhaps not go for the air attachment. anti-air attachment was an interesting option that really didn't pan out too well. As maybe he was expecting air rush, but what he got was entire ground army. And no, we're going to see the game end in actually elimination, not by surrendering, through the destruction of the HQ. HQ has, of course, 15 armor. You don't talk that very often, and does have, in fact, a lot of health. It also shows you how much catalyst he has stored up, 545, or you can look up here for 545. By the way, this is the end of the replay of the best out of 3. I probably should have mentioned at the beginning of the game. But we're going to go straight into, if I do my editing properly, straight into the next game. See you then. Game number 2 between Xcet and the human player cartoon guy. This, of course, is the second game out of 3. I'm probably going to edit these videos together, so my intro probably should be relatively minimal, because you already know what happened in the previous game. And I don't really know what to say. They really do these 2 out of 3s very often, so my intros are not exactly up to par. Either way, it looks like we got a dual refinery build. Looks like it's going to go a bit more eco-heavy instead of that early factory. We do have dual refinery over here. Nothing too crazy. Technology is, of course, nothing at the moment because it's early in the game. And this is where my caster banter, if that's a proper term, runs dry because, well, I don't have my standard intro. And there's a bit of time before anybody does anything. Going to go ahead and just skip forward about 45 seconds. Just to save us a bit of time. Looks like we are going to see the factories. Looks like both sides are going to go into factory production after the 2 refineries. So we may go and see a bit more aggressive play by Xcet. As we saw in the last game, he went for a triple refinery opener. Looks like he's going for a dual refinery, dual factory. And perhaps he's going to try to use his win advantage to push his opponent out of the game a bit safely. If he loses this game, not a big problem. He has another game to win, while his opponent, stressing him out with rush, if he does even win the game, may shake him up a bit for the 3rd game. Xcet, of course, since winning, he has a better mentality. Alright, game 1, done. Game 2, let's get started. Cartoon guy's like, oh crap, I lost the first game, now I have to win 2 games in a row. That's probably what he's thinking. Of course, I do know the outcome of the game due to the fact that I see when I downloaded the replay pack, I can see all the games here if I'm trying to imagine the managed replays if I'm looking at it right now. So I know all how many replays there are, and of course I can tell you who's going to win this game immediately based on the number of replays after seeing the first game. Of course, this looks like kind of early artillery attachment. Very interesting. The only attachment I would say is actually effective to have in your HQ, I would say it's a stealth attachment, because there's an upgrade in there you actually could rush out, the Seeker Area Effect stealth upgrade. So when it's standing still, it stealths all nearby units, which in fact can stealth each other, adjacent nearby Seekers. But it looks like we got some early aggression from Xcet with his revolvers and his starting trident. He does kill off the starting trident, but those revolvers are full on health, except for that one, because he just got shot. And it looks like all those guys stop, I thought. I wasn't sure what I thought. And the early revolvers did catch his opponent by surprise, with only 1 factory versus 2 factories. In fact, there's then 4 factories. It makes it hard for him to not catch up. After losing this first refinery, this just spells game's over. This is definitely game over. After losing your first and your second refinery, when you only have 2, it is game over. Nice rush by the human player. And it is a bit of a weakness of the beta faction, is the fact that you don't have access to a lot of factory ports in your initial HQ. There's just one bit of downside to the game of the initial beta play. Of course, they can always have dual factory opening to help combat this. Like they then just build a small hub, which by a small hub to get another 2 factories is, let's see, that's cost 200 catalysts each of these points, so it's about so you have to pay about 100 more catalysts, a very small amount, about the amount of one revolver or a little bit more than one commando to get another 2 factory ports. So it is relatively balanced actually. But it can be a bit hard because you have to have additional foresight of when to expand outwards and when you should focus on economy, because those hubs take quite a long time to build. I did try to build a refining bay over here. It looks like this large factory will get cleaned up. And this thus spells the end of the game. As C, Xcet, I'm not sure why I said C, is your winner out of the 2 out of 3. I'm just going to go ahead and just watch him shoot a building. Best way to demolish a building, just shoot it a lot of times. Imagine going to a, what's it called? A McDonald's, and you want to destroy the building, so you just kept on shooting the wall over and over and over again until it falls apart. Eventually you'll do it at a cost about hundreds of thousands of bullets. And this thus spells the end of the replay. This is Agion saying thank you for watching and signing off.